We're going to get started with our meeting. So welcome everyone to our first coach call of the season. It's really great to see everyone. So we set this up actually tonight as a meeting instead of a webinar because we wanted it to be interactive and we wanted you guys to ask questions, maybe be able to help each other. And we've never done these before, so we're just going to give it a whirl tonight. But we wanted everyone to be able to participate. So just a little housekeeping. Just please keep yourself muted while you're not talking so that we don't get feedback or, so everyone can hear. And we did want this to be an open forum. So please feel free to either use the chat or actually just ask a question to the audience. So we encourage you to share what you're working on or maybe even what you're struggling with, because maybe somebody here is struggling with the same thing and maybe they found an answer. Really quick, I want to remind everybody out there that if you have not yet registered for an event, event registration is still open. We still have spots available. So if you haven't registered soon. So I think we're just gonna kind of get the conversation started. We're gonna start off. So I had sent an email out late last week. If anyone wanted to submit questions ahead of time, they could. So we got 3. So we'll just start with those and then kind of see where we fall from there. So the first question, oh, sorry, I should introduce myself. Forgot that part. I'm Vicki from High Tech Kids. And we have Jeannie. Jeannie's out there in purple. So we'll be here to just sort of answer your questions if we can and moderate a little bit. So I'm sorry, we're gonna start with that question from Christine. So she asked where the robot performance runs, since you guys are running at home, she said with 2 stationary cameras, perhaps overhead and one on the side, plus a camera that can follow the robot to get close-ups of the mission model be sufficient. And that, Christine, is more than sufficient. So what we were thinking is 1 stationary camera that could see the entire field, whether it be the short way or the long way. And that should be fine because there's just that one mission that goes under the bridge that the referees have to see. I think if you had a camera following them, your referee might get dizzy, might get sick a little bit, and that might not bode well for you, but we definitely are going to want a camera. So when you're going through the scoring with your refs, have a camera so that you can zoom in and say, here's mission 1, mission 2, so as you go down so that the ref can see. I also think that, when we do our practice rounds, we're going to learn a lot more. I mean, we're going to do some test runs here, but until we get into a room with real 4th graders and 5th graders, we probably, I don't know, we might change our mind. But right now we're just thinking if you could have a stationary camera and then the next camera could even be a phone, right? That you're zooming in on. So Christine, did that answer your question? Yes, okay, great.
And I think too, if the kids are going to drive under the pull-up bar, I think it's worth it for them to point out to the refs, say, hey, in this mission, we're going to go under the pull-up bar. It doesn't hurt to let the refs know what they're going to do, or if they're going to do anything cool or clever or anything like that.
Or questionable, right?
Or questionable.
And another question we had was from James that said, when so many students are already familiar with the Zoom platform, why is Discord being used for judging? I'm gonna let Jeannie take that.
Yeah, so the answer for that is what we have found is that the Discord, we think will be better for team management. It's easier for us to put groups of kids into Discord rooms, into the video rooms that we'll be using, and to get them out of the video rooms. Discord is also designed for gamers. So the consensus or the thought out there is that it's going to better handle the videos. It's not going to be as choppy. Zoom meetings, as you all know, can get a little choppy or hold up. And then the the streaming should be, knock on wood, faster with using the Discord.
Right. And someone just actually added into the chat, is a tripod recommended? I think so. I think it'll be easier, more stationary, but certainly if you can rig a camera up somehow in your space, that would be fine. So,
say, can I ask a question, Vicki?
Sure.
This is so really fun.
Yeah.
So explain when you say a separate camera, and then you say a separate camera that could be a phone. Is that like, what kind of camera are you anticipating? I was anticipating it would just be someone's phone would be set up for the camera, and then we take it down and walk them through the different points. Is that what you're thinking?
That would be acceptable.
That would be perfectly fine. I think Christine was just curious. I mean, because you could, so for our training, I don't know if Joel, you went to, you watched our video training. We ended up putting just like a camcorder on a tripod that had a HDMI out into a computer. And that allowed us to view the whole screen or the whole field. And I think you can probably still do that, like with an iPhone. I mean, you can probably figure out how to do that just with phones. And I think as long as the referee can see, because really all the scoring happens at the end, right? Except for where you go into the pull-up bar, and except for if the kids are going out and rescuing their robot, or something like that. I think as long as the referee can see the whole field and can pretty well see, as the robot's coming back to base or home, back to home, to make sure that the kids aren't grabbing it, while it's way out there, so it's all the way back into home. So I think those are the only things that you really need to make sure you see. And so for our practice rounds, that is something that your referees will talk to you about. They might say, hey, for your real rounds, you might want to move your camera over here or something like that. So, but I think a cell phone should be just fine for that. Okay. So,
and it is something that, we're going to get something set up hopefully before our next phone call, which is November 5th. Thank you, Jenna. We fixed that date. And hopefully by that date, we will kind of have, okay, this is the angle that looks pretty good. So if you're setting something in this corner or on this end, so we'll be sharing that as well.
Right. Okay, and sorry. We had one more call in the beginning that I just wanted to get to quick because it was also about Discord. So Shelly wrote, I'm not familiar with Discord. Is it something that teams should become familiar with, or will I simply be clicking a link and the rest magically happens without any effort on my part?
So Shelly, no, it is not magic. There are some things that you are going to want to practice and learn. And we are actually working on a little tutorial, and it'll hit our website hopefully early next week. We're gonna actually record it on Thursday, and it'll have some screenshots. And what we're suggesting is that teams will actually set up their own Discord server. And don't think of Discord server as a big fancy computer. Really, it is. Discord is a fancy group chat, is what it is. So you'd be setting up a group chat. We're going to show you how to set up a very basic one so that your kids are used to learning how to share either their camera or maybe share their screen. And so we're going to set up a tutorial. It'll be on our website let me actually share that with you as well. I'll show you exactly where it will be. So on our website, we've just added a new tab called Remote Event Resources. And under Discord Resources, we will have a tutorial here. And it's just going to be kind of some step-by-steps on how to set up that Discord server, some suggestions for what your team should be doing there. And then Vicki also mentioned the online demographic survey. That is here. Did you mention that? Sorry.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, then I get to share something fun.
Keep going.
We have the online demographic survey here. And this is what you usually turn in at the tournament. And this is how we keep track of how many kids are on your team. This is kind of the information that our funders are looking for, so the demographics of your team. And if, drum roll, if you fill this out and get it back to us, you can fill it out online, by November 15th, we are going to send you free pins, seasonal pins for you and for your team members. So that's kind of our dangling of the carrot to try and get that information back. We're also working on an online consent and release that you will be able to submit here if you can't get that first dashboard consent and release forms filled out, because we know that that first dashboard is not always easy to navigate. So keep watching here, and then Vicki will be sending out a blast, I'm sure, early next week when we do for sure have this tutorial on how to get the Discord set up. So it's not magically going to happen. It's not hard. It's not scary. It's just a little bit different than a Zoom meeting.
So there's quite a lot of chat about Discord. Before I address them, I've had a couple of private questions come to me about very small teams. And so if you end up with, you started with a team of, I don't know, 8, and now you're down to 2 and you're worried about it, don't worry about that. Teams of 2 actually are allowed. And I think we're gonna be really flexible this year, because I think there's gonna be a lot of teams that maybe shrink as the season goes. So don't worry about it if you have a small team. So Jeannie, can you see the chat?
Yeah, so there's a comment here that they found that Discord video streaming is not as stable. That is kind of part of the learning curve, and that's something that we are also learning here, which is one of the reasons why we really are encouraging you to set one up between you and the kids and figure out how best to share their videos, especially if you're going to record maybe your team's project presentation or their robot design, if they're going to want to stream that and share that. There are some kind of tricks, and I live in Afton, and I personally cannot stream a video without it being glitchy. So figuring out which kid maybe has the best internet service might be the best thing, or figuring out who has to be plugged into Ethernet or who can do it over Wi-Fi. So that's why we're really encouraging you to get a little server set up yourself and practice some of that sharing. Will you still be having the team learning session on fitness apps as was once listed?
Oh, I think she's talking about the research workshops. Yes, we think so. We're still, we are still working with the people that are, that we're going to be putting on the research workshops. So, and Cheryl was working on that.
I'm here. Can you hear me, Vicki?
Oh, there you are.
So it's likely to be either November 14th or November 21st, but I'm just waiting confirmation of the speakers. So
okay,
I'm sorry to wait so long, but we didn't quite know exactly what the theme was either. So we're learning along with you guys. So hopefully it's one of those 2 days.
Thanks, Cheryl. Someone has asked, are you allowed to use a PowerPoint to present your robot design and for your project in the judging sessions this year? So this year, yeah, yes, I would say yes, because everything is going to be, we never allowed it before because we couldn't guarantee what kind of equipment we had in the room to share with the judges. But now, since we're doing it over video conferencing, I think that would be allowed.
I think the big thing to remember there is the judges really want to interact with the kids. They want to be able to interact with the kids and chat with the kids and get that. So, you know, a slideshow, a PowerPoint is great as a background, but we don't want you to just hit play on a PowerPoint and let it go through. We still want to see the kids. We still want to see their excitement, their enthusiasm. So make sure that we're still doing that. And Chris had a question about the Discord requirements for UB13. I don't know how we do that. I guess if you're actually in the schools if your kids are actually meeting in school, then hopefully they can meet all in one place and then just be on the Discord. If they are at home, if the kids are at home and have to log into their Discord, we would ask them to be signing in with a parent's account. And then keeping in mind that the best protection for the kids on this Discord is for their parents to be kind of hovering in the background so that we know that they're in a situation that is, they're not off chatting with other people in Discord when they shouldn't be. Did that help, Chris?
She said that they're at home using a school laptop. Chris, are you saying that they can't log in on a school laptop?
Well, we're running into problems because whenever we have a program that our students are accessing using the school laptop, we're supposed to have some type of permission through the school. And the school we're trying to work with the school to figure out how we need to be using this. And this is helping a little bit tonight for me to be like, well, I have to set up a server for our team. We have to be able to log on and practice this stuff. But yeah, this is a huge hurdle because it's a non-school platform that we're using instead of Zoom. Like Zoom would be super simple because they all have Zoom accounts through the school. The school has set that up. So Discord is, I see why they use Discord from an older student standpoint. But I will say from a coach's standpoint with the younger kids, this is an extremely frustrating platform to have to sort out. It's going to be taking a lot of extra time.
Right. And so one reason we liked it from a younger standpoint is because we have control. I don't know if Jeannie said this before. So we tested Zoom. We tested a couple of them. And so we can kick people out much easily. Well, it's true. We can kick people out of the server more easily than I can in a Zoom meeting. I can only kick people out of rooms. I can't kick them. I think we tried. We couldn't kick them all the way out, really. But you can actually kick somebody out of your Discord server and you can sort of ban them, I think. Is that the word, I think?
Yes, that's one of the words.
Yeah. So, so from that standpoint, we thought, oh, okay, so this, but I understand your point if they're using school equipment. So we might have to, well, I don't have a good answer right now. We'll have to think about that.
It's a process. I get it. I'm just trying to figure out how much. Yeah. We're trying to sort it out on our end, but we are running into big hurdles. So
it is a huge process. I feel like we have been reinventing the wheel about every 17 days here. So
I'd say it's more than that, but
so
well, Jenna has kind of an interesting, maybe a letter from HGK making this legit.
Well, yeah, if that helps, if anyone thinks that's going to help with their school, we'd be happy to write a letter saying this is what we're using and this is why we're using it. And James suggests having a coaches meeting via Discord. We could do that.
Yeah, we could certainly do that. And actually that's one of the things we'll do when we train our judges and our referees is we're going to start in a Zoom meeting and then, all right, everybody, we're going to go to a Discord. So if you guys want, we can set up another meeting, another phone call. That's one more night and do that. And, let's bring you into it and let you see what, what it looks like. We've got the framework and what you will see when you come in there and then what you'll see as we move you. And it may even help you understand why we are choosing to do that because of the ability it has for us to put you in certain places and then not have to see everything else that is behind the scenes. Because it's crazy what's behind the scenes.
It is.
Why is it important to kick people out? A lot of it is we're concerned about youth protection policies. Yes, we will be sharing a link with you. And it is up to the coaches to not share that link with anyone other than who they need to. But if anyone else gets in there, we want to be able to, or if anything's inappropriate, or, you know, sometimes 14-year-old boys think certain things are funny. This is from a mom of 3 boys. I want the ability to take them out quickly, not take them out, but remove them from the situation as needed. All right.
So, so Ying asks, can we cut part of our real professional interview into our project presentation video? I think what you're asking is, so your project presentation, just like in a regular event, you've got 5 minutes for your actual presentation. So whether that's a skit or a PowerPoint or whatever the kids are doing, telling the judges about their event. So you get 5 minutes for that. I'm not sure, you don't have to use the whole 5 minutes. So if that's what you mean by making the presentation part shorter.
No, I mean last year, because we have to present our presentation in person in the judge's room, but this year we can make a video. So because we make a video, we can make something, you know, like in the last year we have the 1 kid to represent the professional person, but this year, because it's a video, we have the real video over there. Because that's real, can we cut part of the interview part inside of our video?
Oh yes, so what's going to happen is, so when you, so for the project part, so what you're going to do is, just like in a real present, when we were in person, the kids would do their skit first. So what we're going to do, if you're doing a video, they're going to say hello and everything, and then you're going to show, your team is going to show their video. And so everybody's going to watch the video, and then directly after they get done watching your project presentation, the judges will go into their regular Q&A. So it'll set up a lot like the regular in-person event, except you're showing your video. Does that make sense?
No, I think that's not a question I asked,
okay.
Because based on what I read, so the presentation in the project presentation, you can choose to either upload the video or present in person. So if we choose to upload the video, there's because that's technology, so we can use some the real thing.
Right, and so the information you're getting from FIRST, we're doing a little bit differently here. We're not asking you to upload a video, because we're going to ask you just to share your video, because our judges are not going to watch the videos ahead of time. So they want to watch them with your team so that they remember your team and your team's project presentation properly, so that when they are asking your team questions, they're asking them the correct questions. So you're not gonna have to upload anything, and which kind of brings me to so FIRST is developing something called a remote event hub, and they've pretty much already told us that it's not going to be ready in December. So it's not going to be ready for our first events. So that's why we're on to plan B. So our plan B is that if you guys want to do a video, then you'll be just sharing that video via a screen share at the event.
Okay, but still that's a pre-made video. What I mean is that that's not necessary to kids to represent the professional person, because that's adult. So we can cut some part of the real interview into our video. Is that okay or no?
In my personal opinion, as a coach and as a judge, I would almost prefer to see the kids either act it out, or it would be a very small snippet. I would not want to hear 2 minutes of an adult professional talking about something. So I would keep it very, very short, or have the kids, you know, like in a skit, pretend that they are that professional. We really want to interact with the kids. We don't want to hear from what they learned. You can say, hey, we talked to this professional, and this is what we shared, and this is what we learned. Or if you're doing a skit, maybe have that one of the students represent that professional. And the other thing to keep in mind, we all know that the best laid plans could go awry. So I would be prepared for the kids to all of a sudden scrap that video, that pre-recorded video, and present live if needed, just because of all the nonsense that we're dealing with here. I would certainly be prepared to go live if you need to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Also, I remember last year when I have competition, even the kids plan to have an app, they are not allowed to use the cell phone. This year, can they use a real cell phone to show their work? Because that's a different.
I don't see any reason why not. If the kids are developing an app and the app is on their phone and they can show it on the screen, yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think, because last year is hard for the judge to say it is too far, but this year is much easier.
Yes, well, and this year too, the actual innovation project, it says design a piece of technology. So I think for them to show that piece of technology would be fine.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then a suggestion that someone said is, of that professional, maybe just share their picture. And if if the kids met with them over a Zoom meeting, show a picture of them meeting over the Zoom meeting. And, that's kind of something that my kids would have had on a poster board. So kind of find ways to share things like that too.
Someone asked a question, if we could do a quick 2-minute walkthrough of competition day. And yes, we can do that really quick. So competition day is really sort of like competition week. So what we're going to do, and for those of you who weren't able to attend our coaches meeting, we did videotape it. We also put together these short video snippets that they're like 5 to 7 minutes, and they're different themes. And so there's one that's about registration, there's one that's about judging, there's one that's about the robot run. So I encourage you to go out and look at those. But my little 2-minute version of what the competitions are going to look like is at the end of this month, I'm going to send out a registration for everybody. It's not a registration, sorry, it's a sign up. Everybody's going to sign up for a time for their practice round and a technology check.
It'll be a block of time.
It'll be a block of time. And then, so December, people competing in December will have their practice round in the middle of November, and those in January, it'll be in the middle of December. And then we're also going to do our robot rounds instead of, this is something first I know is pushing out information that you're going to videotape your robot rounds and upload them. But again, because they said that their hub is not going to be ready by beginning of December. So what we're going to do is we're going to do robot rounds the week before your event. So the week, in the beginning of the week preceding your event, you're also going to sign up for a block of time to do your robot rounds. And the reason we're doing it this way is because we're trying to catch teams that, like a school team is probably meeting after school time, but maybe a home team meets on the weekend. So we've got times on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're trying to hit the days of the week that most people are meeting. So we're hoping those times work for you guys. And then the actual event day, so you would run your 3 robot runs on one of those blocks of time that you pick, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, and then, or Wednesday. And then on your actual event day, Saturday or Sunday, is when we would be doing our judging. So then, just like a regular event, you're gonna get a time, and your judging session is actually going to be a 35-minute time block, because with all this technology, we figure once we get your team online, we're going to do it all at once.
Can you share your screen with that, Vicki?
Oh yeah, let me see. Let me pull it up really quick here. So, whoops, sorry. So on the right, I know is what first is pushing out. So, but on the left is kind of what we're going to do. So this year, and maybe you guys know this or not, but we have a lot fewer teams this year. So in the past, we did judging groups of 16. This year, we're doing groups of 8 and 10. Part of that is because we don't think our judges want to be on a Zoom meeting for an entire day, and they're going to need a break. And we just think everything is going to take a little bit longer. So if you are team 1, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, your time block is from 10 to 10:35. So team 1 is going to do their project. And so what we're going to do is teams will come in, and if you would like, you can check in up to 15 minutes early. We will have a, I think we're calling it like a waiting room. So if you are in Lakes, we will put you in this waiting room, which will just be your team. And so if, you know, when I was a coach, before we went into judging, I always gave the kids a pep talk. Maybe we, you know, talked about questions or went over our project stuff one more time, or the robot or whatever. So this is where you can do your pep talk, make sure your whole team is there, and everything else, and everyone can hear each other, and whoever's sharing their screen can share their screen. So you'll be in this waiting room, and then we'll move you into your judging room. And then what we're going to do is that you're going to stay in that same room, and the judges are going to move. So you're going to be in your project room, and then your project judges are going to move out to go over to team 2 over here, where then the design and programming judges are going to come over to your room. So your block is going to be about a 35-minute block.
And your core value judge is going to stay in the room with you and get a little extra time with the team.
In between these two, when the other judges are swapping back and forth. So is that clear? So this is sort of how so look, you get to sleep in. That's a good thing, right? So we think judging is going to go from about 10 until about 2. And then our judges are going to have to deliberate. And we did a quick guesstimate that we think the awards ceremony will be around 4:30. We're going to say 4:30 right now. We might alter that. You know, as we do this more, the judges might get better at it, you know, doing this virtual deliberation. So, but right now we're saying awards at 4:30. So I'm hoping I answered.
So Bridget asked, will there be core values judging this year? So yes, there is core value judging. It's not an activity like we've done in the past, but the judges will be watching the whole time for core values. And then, like I said, they'll have that little 5-minute in between where it'll really just be the core value judges talking to the kids.
And actually, Bridget, that was a change that First and Lego Education made pre-COVID. So even next year, when hopefully things go back to normal, there still won't be a core values session where they do the little activity. So.
And our refs are watching for core values as well during the sessions with the referee. So
yeah,
going to keep that core value hat on all the time. Someone asked about mentors, and Jenna mentions that her local FTC team is mentoring them to help them set up their Discord and server. And someone else asked if there's a way to connect with local older teams who could act as mentors. We do know of some really good teams that I think who have done FLL. I guess we just have to figure out how to get you connected. Those junior high and high school kids who do FTC and FRC, they're on Discord all the time. So Discord is not scary to them. So yes, I think there are ways to connect with those teams, and maybe we need to chew on what's the best way for high-tech kids to help with that without having to be in the middle of that. And we can chew on it. But I think Jenna's idea of, having that FTC team mentor them and help them set up a server would be a good idea, and how to move around in a server and how to share their videos. Looking at a couple other questions. There's a question about how do you suggest teams present their digital engineering notebooks? There is no requirement for the kids to show their engineering notebooks. The engineering notebooks are really more of a way for the kids to show and see their progress on what they've learned, where they've come from, because so often kids kind of forget all the cool stuff that they've learned along the way. So we actually don't want them to just stand there and share their digital notebooks. Certainly they can reference them as to what they learned, but we really want the kids to spend their time sharing their journey. What have they learned along the way? We want to see what went well, what didn't go well, sharing that with, especially with your design and your programming judges. They like to hear what the kids learned, maybe by failing. So that's kind of a fun thing. So they are not going to actually be sharing their digital notebooks. That's more for the kids to kind of journey their process.
Someone asked if the kids can edit their video. I would say yes. I mean, I think I don't know if anyone is going to just shoot their video and say, "Oh, that's it." I honestly don't think that we can do anything about edited videos. I mean, I guess we're going to know if, Spike Lee came out and did your video for you. That'll be kind of obvious. But yes, I think that's probably fine if the kids are going to put their best foot forward, especially if they're going to add in like a photo of a person that they met with, or add in their technology. That technology part for their project. So
there's a couple questions about robot scores and robot runs.
Okay.
All 3 runs will be on the same day, and they will be kind of blocked off with really no extra time. We have figured that it takes about 31 minutes to do the 3 robot runs if things are going well. That's why we are actually doing that practice round /technology check earlier in the season, so that they will get that practice round. They'll figure out what things are built right, what things are not built right, if they have any questions about the rules. But yes, their robot runs will be run on the same day, and they will kind of be back to back to back. If there's a couple of schools who thought mainly it's easier to get the kids online, get all the technology working, and keep them there instead of in and out and in and out like a regular tournament would be. You do have the advantage of running on your home field. So, if there are things, you're not all of a sudden going to get to a table that is set up different, or the lighting's different, or there's a bump in the table, or a gouge in the wall. So there's a bit of an advantage because you are running on the field that you've been practicing on. So we're hoping that there shouldn't be too many naughty robots, that the robots are behaving, because, we always say, yeah, put your robot in the car, and they forget what they learned along the way. So we're hoping that that won't happen. And then we have the question about, can the team know the score on the same day as last year? What we are anticipating is that when you do your performance rounds with your referee, the referee will score it with you, walk through, and you will know your score right then and there. What we are hoping is to have the ability for the teams, our score sheets are going to look pretty significantly different than first score sheets, and we will have those up on our website. Again, hopefully next 2 weeks. That's on me.
It's on Jeannie's to-do list.
But what we're actually hoping is that you will have a paper copy and you'll be able to go through it with the referees, and your team should have a general idea of, that was about a 250. If the highest score you can get is a 275 and the ref scores you at a 300, we hope the kids will say, oh, something's wrong there. If the kids feel like it was a 300 run round and the refs only gave you 175, then we want the kids to say, hey, can we go through that again? But you will be getting your score at the time. What we're hoping is that on tournament day, because it is going to take from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for us to get all the teams through their robot rounds, that somehow during the tournament day that we'll be able to kind of release the scores maybe one round at a time. So you'll see all the scores and you'll kind of see where you are in the rankings after round one, and then after round two, and then after round three. We're hoping that will keep some of the excitement up instead of us just flashing the scores and saying, hey, this team won, because it's always kind of fun for the kids to see where they are, especially if they're making improvements. But they will know their scores. They just won't know everyone else's scores.
And
right
piggybacking on what Jeannie said, so when you're doing your official performance rounds, so you're going to do your first round, 3, 2, 1 Lego. We, by the way, those of you who attended training, you'll know this, but we are asking teams to have a ruler available, something that measures 12 inches. We're also asking them to either have another parent or one of the team members in charge of the timer, because we feel like with you guys in charge of the timer, then you'll know how much time is left. But we're going to do 3, 2, 1 Lego. You're going to run your 2.5 minutes. Then the referee is going to score it, and before the field gets reset for your next round, that's when he or she is going to tell you the score. So if there was a mistake made, because a ref can make a mistake just as easily as anyone else, they can fix that. We can fix that at that time. So we'll be able to actually go back to the table and say, oh, whoops, that, you did get that. I marked it wrong or something. So that is something that is going to happen. All right.
So Vicki, you want to see Eric Barton's question about the tournament schedule? I understand that the team will be together to present for 35 minutes at some point during the day. Will there be an opening ceremony, and how is the closing ceremony going to be shared?
It's really funny that you asked this, Eric, because we had an enormous conversation about this today in the office. So originally during my coaches meeting, I said we were not going to do an opening ceremony because in my mind, I didn't know, if your judging isn't until 12:30, I just didn't know that those kids were going to get up early at 9 o'clock to watch us have an opening ceremony. However, after much discussion in the office, yes, we're going to have an opening ceremony at, what did we decide, 9:30, 9:45?
Yeah, I think it'll be 9:30.
We are going to have a little opening ceremony, and then the awards ceremony. So what we're thinking is it's going to be at 4:30, but if we find out that it moves a little faster, the judges can make decisions a little faster than we thought, maybe 4 o'clock. But both of those things, we're going to stream those on Twitch. We have a HTK Twitch TV channel that we've been using for FTC. So that's where we would put the opening and closing ceremonies. And at the closing ceremony is when you'll find out your award winners. So we'll do it a little bit similar, well, slightly similar to state, where I put together a PowerPoint, but it's just going to be, we won't have, clearly we won't have finalists, but it'll just be, because there won't be anyone here, right? So something for you to look for. It'll be some sort of PowerPoint, like the winner of the project is team 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of thing. So, and then afterwards, we will be shipping out awards and medals to the coaches. And anyone who got on late, we're going to ship it to the address that you give us via your the new demographic survey that we have online. So that's how we'll know how many medals to give you and where to ship everything. And we are working on, we're hoping to be able to give you rubrics probably via email. So we should be able to email those out to you. So you'll probably get those sooner, but all the shipping will happen Monday, Tuesday after the event.
And if you submit that demographic before November 15th, we will ship you free pins. That's a plug.
Yes.
Questions about judging groups. 8 teams in a judging group. That is correct. And then people want to know how many teams will we choose to go to state in a judging group?
So it's a percentage. In the past, anyone who's been around for a while knows that we didn't used to have sectionals. And so the reason we put sectionals in is because we weren't advancing a large percentage. So it was a way to advance about 25% at every level. And we were thinking it's going to be 25% again, maybe up to 30. So anywhere between 25 and 30%. It really depends. So right now, to be super honest with you, we have 166 teams registered in the state of Minnesota, but as of about 20 minutes before this call, I only had 16 or 120 teams actually registered for an event. So, and we have registration stays open until next Wednesday, so a week from Wednesday. So depending on if more teams register in the state or more teams register for an event, we'll see. Right now, we're thinking our state championship is going to be in and around 40 teams. Again, that's going to depend on how many teams end up registering to play this year. So we're thinking 25%, loosely. So let's see. Here's one, robot game. Do we have an update on the technicians in home if COVID, don't allow 2 kids to be less than 6 feet apart? Oh, okay. Jenna, I asked that question and no one answered me, and thank you for reminding me. I will bug them again. No, so sorry.
So that actually leads me to another thing. I'm going to share my screen again. We have asked first some direct questions, and we are going to share the replies back here. So under the 2020 replay challenge, under First Lego League, under the replay documents, below the updates, these are robot game clarification High Tech Kids has received from First. We have 2 of them. These are questions that we asked first, and this is how the refs in Minnesota will rule based on First answers. So those are there for you. So you can look at those. If we get any more, like this one from Vicki, we will bring those back and share them here. And again, Vicki will put those in the first blasts that she sends out, but make sure you're just coming here and checking. First has only issued 4 updates, and we've gotten 2 clarifications, we're calling those, and we just want to share those with all the Minnesota teams, that's how our Minnesota refs will be ruling based on these answers that we've received.
So I have another question. For teams that are meeting in schools, are you assuming we'll be together at the school for judging? So Katie, no, that wasn't, because I was imagining that's why we figured the team for sure had to be together, in at least 2 kids together, to run their robots, which is why we were doing robots earlier in the week and maybe trying to hit a school day. But my assumption is, especially for school teams, like I'm sure you're not having your team to your house on Saturday, and I'm guessing the school doesn't want to open just for your team. So my thought is that for school teams, those kids would be wherever they are. They're at home or whatever, and then they would be like we are, all on a virtual meeting. So that's why if you wanted to videotape your project presentation, like if it's better if the kids are together and you just want to videotape it, that's why the videotape thing could work, so you could become your own cameraman and videotape the kids doing their thing. One thing that you should practice it though. So with your kids, practice in a session like this, or on Discord actually, but also practice how you're going to share your robot. I don't have a robot here, but let's pretend the stapler is my robot. it's really hard for me to show how cool the stapler is with just my, my camera. So if you had a webcam or something that those kids could really, I don't know, show gears, show something, or just have them practice bringing it really close. Oh, I guess it does. Oh, you can see stuff. So, but just something to think about. So when the kids are in, robot design, they need to show their robot somehow, which also brings me to whoever has the programs on his or her computer should be ready to share their favorite programs as well. Just like in a regular event. So have the software booted up, have your favorite program figured out, and who's gonna, and we're not gonna separate the kids out like we have in the past, because so everyone will get a chance to talk about programming as well.
And something to keep in mind with both programming and robot design, it is not so much about what is cool. It's about the process. Where did the kids start? What have they learned? What did they try? What worked? What didn't work? What's the coolest, craziest thing that they have? Sharing that journey. If you look at the rubrics, and I think Vicki had those on the screen too. If you really look at the rubrics, the refs are, not the refs, the judges, sorry, are looking at the rubrics, and that's what they want to hear from the kids is how can you answer what the rubric is asking. So if the rubric is asking, what was their journey? I can't, of course, now I'm blanking to what the questions are because they're new this year. Make sure the kids are addressing and letting the judges know kind of what the answers are on the rubric. Those are the questions that the judges are looking for.
And if you're a returning coach, I really, really encourage you to look at the rubrics because they went through a huge overhaul this summer. This was also a pre-COVID thing. These new rubrics were a pre-COVID thing. So they were working on them actually last season, and they're quite different. Hold on, we got a flurry of questions here.
Jenna, you crack me up because you think like I do. Actually, yes. Jenna says, can it be a PDF of your programming so it's less strain on devices? I would always go back to what is the least technologically challenging way for the kids to show it. To me, I would much rather see a PDF and the kid can kind of walk through it than worrying about, is that computer going to work when I try and share the screen? Is it going to freeze up? Is it going to lock up? Go ahead and try that, but be prepared to go back to old school. PDF is PDF old school. Go back so that they can see that.
So James privately asked me a question about going back to robot runs. He suggested letting the referees know ahead of time, hey, I'm going to do this mission, this mission, this mission, this mission, so that as you're watching, as the ref is watching overhead, that they know what to watch for before the round starts, and that's a great idea. And let's see, so yeah, okay, Shelly has a good question. If a team is hit significantly with COVID, is there a way of rescheduling? Our team is made up of 2 families and meet at my house. If my family gets sick, the other kids won't even be able to come here to run the robot. Yes. You know what? We're gonna work with you guys as best we can, and we're gonna try to make this season as great as we can. We seriously, I mean, if something happens, yes, definitely, we're gonna try to work with you, and we're gonna make sure that you guys. I mean, honestly, we went from 650 teams last year to 166. So I want to make sure that everybody who has said that they want to participate this year participates this year. No matter if your team went down to 2 kids or if your team has grown to 15 kids. And I hope it hasn't, just for you guys. But if it has, I'm okay with that too. We just want to make sure that these kids and you guys as coaches who have said, yes, we're going to tackle this in this really weird year, that you guys all have a good, you know, experience. And so yes, Shelly, if you get sick and they can't run the robot, just email me and we'll figure it out. So.
And that leads me back to a question that Barb had asked me to share. For that practice round, the one that'll be in November, if you compete in December, if the kids have nothing, if they haven't built a robot or they don't have the missions working, please still show up for that practice round. Have some interaction with the referees, get a taste of being on Discord. You know, in talking with the referee, they may say, hey, how about you try this mission? And they may even try it that day. So that doesn't have anything to do with kids not being well, but, you know, even if the kids don't have everything perfect or they only have one mission or a part of a mission, please still show up for that practice technology check. That's part of the fun. One of the things, you know, first is recommending that teams videotape their robot rounds and submit them, and refs watch them. And early on, we had conversations with our refs, and they said, that doesn't sound very fun. So it was actually the refs in Minnesota who said, we want to see kids run their robots live. So they're the ones they're putting in extra time to do those practice rounds. They're giving up their days to do the performance rounds. So even if things aren't perfect, please still show up. And then on the other side of that, if it turns out you cannot do it, where the kids are like, we're out, let us know, because that may give an opportunity for another team to step into that slot if something else is going on with a team. When you say everyone gets to share about programming, our kids decided they wanted to specialize, so half are focusing on programming and the other half are focusing on the innovation project. Will the judges see that as a negative? If not, all kids know everything. We don't expect the kids to know everything, but we do expect that during the project presentation, all of the kids should participate. During the design and programming, not every kid needs to talk about programming, but everyone should have some input. You know, every kid has learned something, even if they didn't physically program the robot or physically build the robot.
And I will say, Laura, just know that on the rubric, that is actually a line on the rubric that's new. And I'm looking for it right now. I'm looking for the rubric. There is I think it's under identify. It says some team members learned something, many team, and then all team members learned something. So just know that that is actually a checkbox. And it's new this year on the rubric. So even though I think it's okay if you specialize, but even those kids who specialize in something else, just have your programmers teach them something and have them talk about that something that they learned. So.
And that's again, that's part of their process. Why did they decide to do that? And, you know, my kids were the programmers and they didn't do a lot of building. And they talked about why they liked this, why they did that. But again, did everyone learn something? Yes, because the programmer maybe said, hey guys, this is how a line follow works, or this is how a touch sensor works, or this is how this arm works. This is why we do this. And just have the kids kind of share what they learned along the way. Especially if you have a kid who knew no programming, but maybe understands some programming now. That's part of their journey.
So there was a little chatter about, that's going back to the COVID problems. For instance, if a school gets shut down and maybe you have your robot, hopefully, but you don't have your table, you don't have something. If something happens, contact us. We will figure it out. We will try to figure it out. And then another person, Sankalp asked if teams that are considered friends teams or neighborhood teams expected to be together for the judging sessions, and they're not. We're not expecting anybody to absolutely be together if they don't want to. I imagine that most teams are going to meet, you know, they're going to be in sort of this Brady Bunch style at judging. So.
So Lauren asked about a neighborhood team, limited to 3 families. You have 3 third graders who have been participating. Is there an exception process so they can compete? Yes, sort of. Mainly you cannot put them on the first roster. So first is going to say, go get permission from your partner, your program delivery partner. That's High Tech Kids. So the best way is to email me and say, hey, we're going to have 3rd graders. And I'm going to turn around and say, great. But then we are going to ask that, because you will not be able to put them on your roster through your first dashboard, that those kids will submit their consent and release form through either the High Tech Kids website. We're getting that form. It's coming soon. We keep saying that. Everything's coming soon.
Oh, we're really working on it. It's true.
Or you can stick it in the mail. That's actually first solution. You can take a picture of it, you can scan it, you can get it to us. We were able to hire a temporary assistant who is going to be shuffling paper and emails and making sure coaches are YPP compliant and they have their consent and release. So we know that paper stuff is not easy, but we're trying to figure out a way for you to get it to us so that, again, we can have the consent and release. We can make sure that everyone who's in there with our kids should be there. So
I had a question. Someone privately, Sweaty privately asked me about the project, and it says, does it relate to health only, as it says to identify a problem? And how can we make them act? Okay, so I'm gonna admit that I really dislike this question this year because it is not very specific. And my team would have hated this question, but so it says identify specific problem linked to people not being active enough. So, and then it says research your problem, then design a new piece of technology or improve an existing one. It also says to make a model or prototype. So you should know that it's model, prototype, or it can be a poster. So I think what's confusing about this question is when you look at the Sparks and you look at what else FIRST has put out there, it doesn't seem to line up with what this question is. So it is about people. So I think one of your questions was how it relates to health. And it says to identify a problem related to humans, and yes, to humans, and how we can make them active. So it is about making people active. And I realized that their promotional videos are only about health, but then they have some things that are like developing parks, which, because when I read this question, I know I read health issues, but other people in the office read it in another way. So I think it's a pretty open-ended question. And as long as your team can explain how it links back to making people more active, I think that will work for you. I hope I answered your question.
And then Jenna leads me into our shameless volunteer plug. If you are interested in volunteering, either to ref or judge, or if you have some technology expertise, or you're interested in helping with scoring, please contact us, Barb at hightechkids.org. She is our volunteer coordinator for First Lego League Challenge, the new name. And we would love to have that, or you can go through our website, hightechkids.org, and then there's a volunteer, and you can submit your availability. If you tell us that you want to help, we aren't going to make you help us, but it does help us if we know that there are people who are willing to help. So please email Barb at hightechkids.org, or go through our website and submit your availability, or I think it's just interest. So let us know that you're willing to help. I think you coaches are doing an amazing thing. I coached 9 teams over 7 years, and I would definitely be struggling to make this a go. So we really appreciate you guys stepping up and helping and being a part of this for the kids.
Yeah.
So technically we're done with our times. If you have any more questions or if there's anything we missed, we'll give you a few minutes to.
Yeah. You can either type it in or you can unmute yourself and ask your question. We are willing to answer more questions. Someone did ask about watching other people's robot runs because I don't know if anyone's ever been to my training. They've heard me say before, none of these kids join this to do a research project. They're doing it to do robots. So we are trying to work on that and trying to figure out, you know, if we can get videos. It might not be something that we end up being able to do until the state championship, but we are thinking about it and trying to figure out how to do it. So
so we are going, this has been recorded. We will get this up on our website as soon as we can. So hopefully by the end of the week. Yes, Vicki.
And someone asked me if we can get the link for the coaches training video. So the coaches training, it's up on our website, and it's in a couple of places. So the actual coaches training video is under the training and resources tab.
It's now under the brand new tab that we just added today.
Can you show that really quick, Jeannie?
Yep. Okay.
Because I already forgot what we named that tab.
Good. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So it's under the remote event resources and under Minnesota coaches training videos and PowerPoint. So those are coaches trainings, the robot game rules, and then the 4 little snippets that we've created. Okay.
All right. Anybody
If you
else?
think of any other questions, please email me, Jeannie, at hightechkids.org, and we will get those. And if you have more questions,
Jeannie.
and then Vicki will get that question answered about what to do for the technicians.
Yes, Jenna, your question about the COVID thing, I will badger them again to try to get. To get an answer from them as soon as I can. Maybe they just haven't decided the answer yet. I don't know. So.
All right. Thank you guys. We really appreciate you hanging in there with us.
Yes. So yes, someone just asked me, Jeannie, JEANNIE at hightechkids.org. That is the correct email. All right. So thank you guys again for joining us. November 5th. Is that right? Is our next one?
November 5th. And then we will talk about putting together a Discord call with coaches. I think that's a great idea.
Right. And next time we're going to talk about robot game. So, all right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.